Well, hello! Today we're working on a Four Sisters quilt. This cute little quilt pattern can be quilted in a variety of ways. We'll explore different approaches for quilting the sashing and corner sets as well as the blocks. Pam Clark shows us how to do easy swag borders and some freehand ideas. And we'll see how you can build your own design library. So stay tuned. Linda's Longarm Quilting is aired free to you by Gamble Quilting Systems Vision 2. Innovation taken to the next level. My stitch, my vision, my Gamble. If you're a long-arm quilter, you need a design library. This is your treasury of design ideas and inspirations, and it couldn't be easier to do. Start one today. All you need is a 3-ring binder and plastic pages or sleeves. Use the sleeves to hold your design ideas. These might be something you saw in a magazine, a quilt, or a pattern or an interesting shape. Go ahead and tear out the pages and put them in your binder. Otherwise, you won't be able to remember where you saw that one particular quilt when you really need it. Include your own drawings and doodles too. By using the sleeves, you don't have to redraw a design. You can just include the scrap of paper or napkin you drew on or whatever was handy when the idea struck you. Inspiration comes from everything. You might see a leaf on the ground or a picture on the internet, and you can keep it for future use. Be open to ideas from the world around you and from other quilters. Collect your ideas in bits and pieces, whether on impulse or deliberately. Then use your design library as a source for future inspiration. My own design library continues to be a great source of delight and inspiration for me. This is called a Four Sisters quilt pattern that my sister pieced for me, bless her heart. And these fabrics are all flannel. Now flannel's a little bit stretchy, and some of the seams are going to be a little bit bulky. So I've raised the foot on my quilting machine so it will raise a little bit higher. And I want to show you some of the sashing techniques, some of the things we're going to do in the corner sets, and some interesting things on the blocks. And oftentimes when I want to vary the quilt patterns that I'm using, I'll put my ideas right out on the quilt so I can just go from one idea to the next. So that's what I've done here, so we can just go from one idea to the next, so you'll have a lot of things that you can use on your quilt tops. I'm going to start with an easy one. This one is simply circle after circle, and I'll just kind of start it slowly here so you can see. You just want to take your machine and just kind of do a circle and then come back over here like this and then circle, 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 just back and forth, almost in an S shape. Look how fun that is. Try that on paper before you try it on your quilt until you get the feeling of doing it. It's really a rhythm, almost a dance with the machine. Just kind of back and forth, but you do want them to go into circles. Now I'm going to stop right in here, and in this little corner set, something that would be nice to go with those, and I love the texture of that. You feel that it just raises up, you almost have like polka dots along both sides. It's really a nice touch there. In this little corner set, I'm going to do a pinwheel, and I'm going to go from the outside of the square, go into the pinwheel, and then come right back out. So here we go. I'm just going to use my body. You can see, I'm just holding onto the machine, and my body is actually rotating around in a circle. I went into the middle, and here I come out. The body is actually doing that pinwheel. That would be cute in the middle of each of those. Kind of give this squarish quilt a little bit of motion. So that would be a nice thing to do there. Now as I come up, in this block, I think I'll just do the little continuous curve. So I'll come up and over to this corner, up and over, up and over. Now while I'm here in the middle of the block, I'm going to go ahead and do some teardrops. And you can hear the machine kind of hitting some of those bulky seams. But it takes it very, very well. We'll just kind of keep expanding this out like this until we get to that point. And we'll come over here and do a curl like that. And come over on the other side. Come out like this and do a curl. It's almost like a ribbon because it crossed. And then we can continue to do some echoing, like that. Let's come out on the other side so we can complete this. When we go into the middle each time with that thread, we're really helping to kind of pound down some of those seams so they're not quite so bulky. But this flannel quilt is just really cuddly. There we go. Now we'll finish our continuous curve on these. You can see we just go through the intersection like this, and then we come back through the intersection point, through the intersection point. And that continuous curve is a good thing to do in these, so you don't have to do any stitch in the ditch when you do that. There we go, and that puts us right down to here. Now on this one, I think we'll do something maybe a little bit more complicated, and oftentimes I will use masking tape when I'm doing designs like this. So that will be my guide, and I'm going to use the edge of the masking tape. I'm going to put halfway on this sashing like that. So I'm going to use the edge, this edge of the masking tape rather than drawing on the quilt. And I'm going to use the piecework here. See, these are 4 squares, so I'm going to use those as my guide to do just a half circle. Here we go, up to the tape and back down to the seam. Up to the tape, back down, tape, back down, tape, back down. Now at this point, I'm going to come back and jump in the middle of that half circle. So down to the middle, and then I'm simply doing a half circle the other direction, like this. This is also called pumpkin seed. And you can actually just use that as to fill up your entire sashing area if you'd like. Now I can move the tape. I will just sew down this seam. It's better to go over a seam twice really than it is to stop and start. Do it more continuous. And I'm going to come over, and from this side I'm going to do those half circles, and I can see exactly where those seams would be. Jump up to where I stitched and down, up to where I stitched and down, up to where I stitched, and then again come back and jump in the middle of that like this. I love this design. It's not hard to do at all. Now this made it looks like circles with diamonds in it, and you could leave them like that, or if you really wanted to emphasize the fact that they are circles, if you come in the middle like this and do some pattern meandering in those diamond shapes like this, then you are going to be doing some pretty heavy quilting in that middle of that diamond. So that means you're going to be pounding down that fabric with those threads, and that is going to raise up those designs, those circular designs, even more. And if the rest of your quilt was quite heavily quilted, indeed, you would want to do this much quilting in your sashing areas. Now I think in this little block, I'm just going to take my ruler, since I have on my extended base. I think I'll just take my ruler, come across like that, and then I would stitch again in the ditch, even though I've already stabilized this quilt and stitched in the ditch around all the blocks and all the corner sets and the sashing. I would go in that line again, because that makes a more continuous line. And I'll just put an X in there, and that will work for that one. Now let's look at another design here that we can do. This one I think would turn out really nice. We're going to just do a circular design in the middle of each one of this, almost like doing a loop one way and then doing a loop the other direction. And a loop that way, and a loop that way. Then I'm going to come down, and I'll use my ruler to stitch in the ditch around each one of these. So where I'm stitching in the ditch, and it is so easy to stitch in the ditch. If you just practice a little bit, it's not a hard thing to do. So you just use your ruler like that, back and forth. Now, I could use my ruler, but you know, going back and forth, just leaning up like that, and going over here and over here like this, just using my foot width as my guide. Again, it's a matter of trusting yourself to do this and practicing a little bit. I think that this just reflecting and echoing the design of the little squares in the middle is very attractive out here. There we go. And of course you're going to reach a point where you're going to be off and follow the ditch again. Anytime you get out of the area that you need to be in and you run out of room, you just follow that ditch down until you can get there like that. Now I'm going to just drag my thread, which I don't normally do, but rather for time's sake. On the other side of this I would do the same thing, but on this little sampler I want to show you maybe another technique, and that's just to feather this side. Just come down the side like this and feather the other side, and that gives you good practice on your feathers. Now that would also soften the the look of so many squares. And those feathers are simply round and I follow, round and I follow the ditch, round and follow. Really follow through when you do those feathers. There we go. And I could continue around and do that square. But I want to show you one more technique that's inside of this sashing area, something that's real fun and easy to do. And that's simply going back and forth like this with your half circle, half circle. The texture that this creates, and I do this so often in lots and lots of places. I love the texture that this creates. When I get right in the middle of the sashing, again, I'll do that pinwheel. I go into the middle and out, and then back and around like this, and tuck it in on the side. Tuck. By tucking it in and concentrating on that, I keep those in nice round formations. Otherwise, they can get really flat. And I love the texture that creates in the sashing. So there's some new ideas for you, and again, just keep your ideas out right on your machine where you can see them, and you just let it flow. If the machine is going and the motor's running, you're making money if you're a long arm quilter in business. If you're just standing there thinking, you're not making money. So good luck. Next time on Linda's Long Arm Quilting, we're doing trapunto on a Hunter Star quilt. Gail Wallace shows us her award-winning finishing techniques and garment quilting ideas. And we investigate the connection between good drawing and good quilting. Remember, if I can do it, you can do it. See you next time. I've been teaching more than 20 years, and I believe that my left-handed students have had to conform to the right-handed world when it comes to long arm quilting. Stop! Not anymore. Now with the new Gamma Vision 2, left-handed quilters can easily customize the quilting machine to their own comfort and needs. My stitch, my vision, my Gamma.